Slack and he Major welcome you to the My Type of Hype podcast, where we celebrate hip-hop, not just the hype.
How y'all feel out there?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, people, My Type of Hype back again. The podcast that celebrates hip-hop and not just the hype. E Major's in the house. What are you saying, bro?
Yeah, Part, a.k.a. Reggie McWorthy, a.k.a. the Junkyard Hog. So, yeah, just happy that we got this done. Happy that we got this in this week. It's nice.
Yeah, man. So we're here. Slack's still away at the moment. He'll be back joining us soon. So we're holding down the fort, as you know. Yeah, well, there you go, innit, man. And I said it'll be a little mix and match sometimes. But, yeah, so today we thought that we would look at child rappers today. I'm trying to even remember how the topic even came up. I don't even know. We might have been speaking about something. Bro, I'll be honest with you, man. I've never.
Do we have a conversation? We must have had a conversation about Shaheem or something like off.
Yeah, exactly. It was something that got us thinking. It's like maybe we could just chop up a bit about child rappers. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, children in the hip hop, man, and we're at that age now as well where we've grown up. I think it was you that said it last week. We've grown up with a lot of the artists that we like. We've grown up with them almost. We're similar ages to some of them.
Yeah,
and we're seeing even their children. You know, I was remembering the Wu Block, the Chic and Ghost concert in where was it now? Scala a few weeks ago, King's Cross, and his son was there. And his son raps as well, as we know. So
okay,
interesting. You know what I mean? But yeah, but we're specifically looking at like child rappers. You know what I mean? Like young kids in hip hop. Let me ask you first of all, how do you feel about that? Like, what's your thoughts on?
Well, I mean, to be fair, like it's kind of a mixed bag, but I don't have a real issue with it because you got to think some of our favorites were. Essentially child rappers. They were dropping albums when they were like 15, 16, whatever else. Like ones that are specifically like actual kids, like I know Bow Wow and Little Romeo and things like that. I'm not a fan of that because it's just, I don't know. I mean, there's a market for it, clearly, like Bow Wow did numbers, but I just don't think they're like, it's nothing I want to hear. Like, so the ones that were young when I was young and then I've grown with, that's cool. But the ones that when I was grown up and they're kids, like, I don't relate to it, you know?
Yeah, that's a key word, relatability, in it. Because I'll be honest with you, for me, I can honestly say I don't think I've ever been a fan of it. Like, okay, yeah, Chris Cross dropped what, 1990 or something like that. I was like 9, 10 years old.
Yeah.
You know, that you don't mind jump, you're like 9, 10 years old, whatever, it's not an issue in it. But I think what was weird though was when like child rappers would be speaking about stuff that was just like they obviously had no idea of, or you know, obviously other people penning their work in it, but it's just a bit bad, some of the content in that. But like you said, there's a difference in it because you can look at child rappers like young children, and then you can look at young guys like Junior Mafia. You could say they're child rappers, but at the same time they were like 15, 16, and yes, that's a child, but compared to like an 8-year-old rapper, it's a completely different thing. You know what I mean? Yeah,
I mean it's actually a broader market than you'd think, because like you go from the real kids, but these are still kids like now, but it's this completely different set of life circumstances, isn't it?
Exactly that. So yeah, man. So before we chop it up a bit about that, you know, we do our normal setup, our favorable setup of like having lists and things like that, but there's not really that much option because it's obviously there's not that much option, not much to pick from. So yeah, exactly. So we're gonna probably have similar, but anyway. So first of all, what I thought we could look at was some of our favorite young MCs, let's say, child rappers. If you had to pick like a top 3 or something like that came to mind. So yeah, do you want to kick us off? Who would be one for you?
All right. I'm gonna go in strong. So, and this might be cheating a little bit, but I've got to go with LL Cool J because his first album was, he was 16 when that dropped, a solo album at that, and right out the gate, even at that young age, he changed the game, man. Like, brought a whole new set of eyes to hip hop. He brought, like, people were trying to emulate him, dress like him, and have the fat rope chain and all that. This kid's like 16, 17 years old, and I'm like, he came straight in, and he was already up there with like all of his contemporaries who were obviously grown men at that point.
Yeah, man. That's I don't know. I know you said it might be cheating. It's funny because I just felt like LL Cool J just feels like he's always been a man. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even at 16, he was
Even
like,
at 15,
yeah, do you know what I mean? It was just like, do you know what I'm saying? He had good physique, he had the posture, the attitude, everything. It was just like, he's just always been like that, man. He's just been like confident, like it's been off the charts from day one.
I think one of the things of that is that being 15, 16 in like 1984, 1985 is wildly different from being 15, 16 like now. Like, the world was a different place. And I think I've read LL Cool J's autobiography, and like, just judging from, like, I mean, he had a good family and everything, but judging from what like he was seeing at the time when he was growing up, then it just matures you quicker, I guess. And to have had a career start at, you know, in your mid-teens, come out immediately successful, and consistently be dropping good music. Like, I mean, you know, he's had some chocolates here and there, but like, to this day, so, you know, he's got a 40-year rap career. Like, you can't argue with that, man. Like, that's goat status.
Nah, listen, LL's a legend, man. I don't care what anyone says. Like you said, he's got some music that is very, very easy to take the piss out of. Do you know what I mean?
Is very nice.
That, bro, come on, man. That's always comes to mind. And but anyway, I got a lot of time for LL. He's personally not on my like top 10 favorites, but if we're talking about hip hop icons and legends, you can't know hip hop if you're not gonna list him. Do you know what I'm saying? Even if he might not be a favorite of yours, but yeah, that's a good shout, man. All right, I'm gonna go with A+, man. And the reason I'm gonna go with A+, I think he's very underrated. Yeah. I think he's very underrated. I ain't saying he's a super lyricist, but what was I listening to recently? What was it? Beats from the East. And obviously, he gets, you know, he don't have the standout verse on there, but it's not a weak verse. Yeah, exactly that. You got to look who he's around. So, but then when you think about, I mean, we'll get into albums more, so I won't talk too much on it now, but that's my pick, and we'll speak more about the music after. But I'm gonna say A+, man. He held it down, and I think from what I listened to, you know, he weren't overly trying too hard. I don't think he was overly like going above and beyond what you can tell he's maybe even a part of. Do you know what I'm saying? Which is what a lot of the kid rappers done. So yeah, I'd say A+. I got a lot of time for A+. Definitely, I think he was.
I thought A+ was dope, man. Like, especially like you said, that Beast from the East, man. Like, he's with killers on that. Like, Cannabis. That's the first tune I heard Cannabis on it. Like, Redman's on it. And like, he's not out of place. Like no, you said, it's not stand out, but he's not out of place on there.
He could have got swallowed up and made to look silly on that. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I thought that was decent, man. All right. So who'd you say the second one?
I think Shaheem the Rugged Child. Got a lot of time for Shaheem. Like, I know his first album. What was that? He was like 14 when that came out. Rugged Child. And listen, like, this guy, for those that don't know anything about Shaheem, this kid came with a Wu cosign. Like, what? In like 1994, a Wu cosign was everything. You know what I mean? It was like they came on. and he's got like RZA producing tracks on his albums. He's got like Rock Wilder producing tracks on his albums. He's got the Woo on there. He's done joints with Raekwon, and he was dope, man. And I think he could have been something. Like I think he was not just as a like a child MC, as an MC, he was good. Like that age, and like obviously he has some like legal issues and jail problems and all of that. But I think if he could have held his shit together, I think like he was easily as good as it's probably better than most of the Wu affiliates that they seem to every week. Like he was dope, man. I'll never forget, like there was I don't know if you've seen it, there was like an old film come out in '96, like Original Gangsters. And they had a Williamson was in it and everything, and Drew Down was in it, and he's in that, and he's riding around on his scooter, and I was like, this kid's got something, man. He's acting, he's doing some rapping, he seems, and then just things just went out of control. Hasn't dropped an album in a long time. I know that's about 15, 16 years, I think now, but it's got a pretty good one. Like he's all right.
Yeah, funny enough, I've seen him pop up not too like inconsistently. I've kind of seen him pop up on not necessarily doing music, but just like little interviews here and there. I know he's beefing with Raekwon for a while over something. I think he even done a couple of diss tracks towards Ray. Who's he actually related to though? Because I'm sure he's actually related to one of the Wu. Is it Ray? I can't remember. I'm sure he's actually related to one of the Wu. Might be Meth, I don't know, but I'm sure he's actually like a cousin of one of them or something, but might be wrong. But that's a good shout. I prefer this second album. But you're right, man. He could have done things, man. Obviously, like you said, the problems he had and that hindered him, but I definitely think he was one to watch. And we'll probably speak about that as well. Like making a transition from a child rapper to a respected adult rapper ain't easy, and I don't think we've actually seen it done much. I'm actually thinking as I'm talking, but I mean rappers that you look at them and respect them as rappers now. Singers, you can do it in R&B. You think about someone like Upton.
I can't really think of anyone off the top of my head.
That's what I mean. Not in hip hop. I mean, in R&B, it's easy because you can sing. So to make the transition from, we see it all the time in R&B, pop, and all of that. But in hip hop, I can't really think. Okay, Shaheem. So that was my second pick as well. So I'll jump straight in with my third one.
Great minds.
Yeah, definitely, man. And I'm cheating. I'm cheating. I'm gonna say Illegal. So I'm giving you two MCs here.
Okay.
So something got my throat. But I'm gonna say Illegal. Two MCs, which is obviously Jamal and Mr. Malik. Eric Sermon's co-signs, you know what I mean? I thought they were decent, man. We'll talk about the album as well. I thought that's a good album. But when they drop I Gets Busy, remember that track?
Yeah,
I Gets Busy. I love that track, man. Eric Sermon on production, and they just came out like dissing everyone, basically. Well, dissing a lot of the kid rappers that they're talking
like
about.
Their contemporaries, wasn't it? Yeah.
But they were hard, man. They weren't gimmicky. That's it. They weren't gimmicky. A lot of the kids came out and they were gimmicky. Do you know what I'm saying? But when Illegal came out, they came out hard. And they was just straight up hardcore hip hop, man. And for me, around that time as well, Eric Sermon couldn't do much wrong. Do you know what I'm saying? So, he was in his. Bro, 1 second. My son's actually calling me. There we go. Sorry, I've got my sister calling. It's fine. So how professional is that? But but what's it called? So it was one of those ones where Eric Sermon, 1993, he had probably just dropped No Pressure or what have you, or Keep It Real, sorry. Man, and it was decent. I enjoyed that, man. I thought Illegal were dope. I'd like to have seen more. We never saw nothing other than that album. And even that, there was a lot of issues around that, getting it out, and I don't think I actually got my hands on it for a long time. I've never actually owned a physical copy of it. But Illegal, man. Who you got for number 3?
I think it's quite difficult to get hold of, man. I don't think I've got a physical copy of it either.
Really? Yeah. That's the thing. So, I mean, I saw it floating about once, and I remember it was ridiculous money. But I've heard it obviously, but I just ain't never owned it. But I think it's a decent album, man. But yeah, illegal, dope. Jamal and Malik. Who you got for number 3?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of similar vein really, because I've got Jamal on his own. So
okay, yeah.
Just purely because for 2 reasons. No, 3 reasons. One, Keep It Real on Last Chance No Breaks is arguably one of the best hip hop tunes maybe ever. 2, him on the final countdown with Death Squad absolutely destroys it.
Yeah.
And 3, and this might be controversial, but you know, on Busta's first album they did that tune Death Squad versus
Split Mode meets Death Squad. Yeah.
That. So for me, Jamal absolutely kills that, man. Like, I think he's got the best. He comes in first. I think he's got the best verse on there. His verse, like that song's like 6 minutes, 6.5 minutes or something, and his verse is like 2.5 minutes of it, and then the rest of them have just got to cram in. My God, man, it's like one of the hardest verses with some of the best MCs. And
he actually does kill that. I'm actually replaying it.
If you're holding your own.
I'm actually replaying it in my head now. He kills it, man. And you know what as well? He's got a sick voice as well. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like he's got a good voice. No. He actually killed that. Yeah, and co-sign on the Keep It Real, man. I think Slap posted something the other day against I think it was Milkbone and Jamal's song and whatever he was talking about that. And I was saying, Keep It Real for me. It's just once again Eric Sermon. Most people know how I feel about Stevie Wonder. He's the GOAT for me. All genres, Stevie's the GOAT. And I just think it's just perfect the way he just flipped that Stevie sample and done that. Keep It Real, man. It's just perfect. Ribbon in the Sky is probably my favorite song ever. Yeah. And that flip is just excellent, man. But yeah, that was. And you know what? As well, I always say any song or album that got a lot of burn in 96 or 95, you know it was quality because they're probably 2 of the strongest years. Like, so if you was getting a lot of rotation in them years, it must have been quality because the like what we were speaking about the other day about the competition. Come on, man. You look at just the albums that came out in 95 and 96. The competition was nuts. You know what I mean? So for you to hold your own, so that's a big thing. Yeah, that's a good shout, man. Jamal. Okay. All right, let's flip it then. If we're looking at, you kind of looked at some of our favorites or, you know what I mean, tops or whatever.
Yeah.
Who would you say did you not check for at all? Like some of your least favorites?
I mean, I could bang through this list, man, but it's easier because it's otherwise. So my least favorites are people like Lil Bow Wow, Lil Romeo. Yeah. I'm just like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, there was so much hype around Lil Bow Wow because of the Snoop Dogg co-sign and the Jermaine Dupri like signing, and it's just like, what? This kid's like 9. What is he?
It was too much.
It was just weird. And then Little Romeo, obviously, just because he's Master P's son, Master P has got a habit of putting his relatives onto record deals, not always successfully. And this is just another one of them things, man. And I get it from a marketing standpoint. Hip hop's massive, and you want to try and appeal to a big market. Little Bow Wow's cute, Little Romeo's cute.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, this is going to be very controversial, though. My one of my least favorite young rappers, Lil Wayne. Like his first album,
I hear that.
15. I hate Lil Wayne, man. Like, I don't care what people think it's done for the culture. I don't see it. Like, I've never really got it. I've never really understood what it is about him. Look, he's put eyes on the culture and like he's elevated it, whatever. But like, I don't understand why. Like, and that's not me being grumpy and old. It's like I don't get it. his raps are lazy, his punchlines are lazy, like his beats are terrible. I don't even think when he was in the Hot Boys, I even really noticed how bad he was because he was carried by the others, really. And so I just don't understand this stratospheric, like, rise of Lil Wayne that, you know, has put him in the GOAT conversation. I just don't get it.
You know what? It's funny because I always have this discussion, man. There's actually a few people around me that really rate Wayne. Two of my good friends as well. I think I said it last week. They're big Wayne and Drake fans, and they would always be like, and I just like you, almost echoing exactly what you said. I was just like, I just never ever been into him. Like all that whole Hot Boys, never. But even when he was at his peak, like it's just never been someone that's been on my radar. Like, let me go and hear some Lil Wayne. But one thing I will say though, the Carter 1 and the Carter 2, I think are brilliant albums. Carter 3, I know a lot of people are like, oh, Carter 3 is his best work. Carter 3 is his commercial peak. You know what I mean? He's probably never been greater than, but there's a lot of fluff on that, man. You listen to Carter 3, there's a lot of skippable stuff that just hasn't even aged well. But Carter 1 and Carter 2, I think are good albums, man. Carter 2, I even posted it today. I think Carter 2, I think is actually a dope album, man. I think there's so much heat on that, man. But same, I don't think I've ever been at a stage in my walk at hip hop where I've said, yeah, I'm a Lil Wayne fan. Never. I don't know if it's voice or the stuff he does. I've just never really been into him. I can stomach him, but I've just never really been. And he does some stuff that's okay. That's cool. That was clever. That was good. And I rate his run now, to be honest with you. Like, and I'm not talking about age because we know we got to kill the ageism in hip hop. But at this point of his career, I think the verses that he's given to a lot of people at the moment are nice. Like, I'm liking the little guest features that he's still doing. And he's at a point right now where he don't need to be doing that. But I think you can see he's still trying to give good verses and they're hitting. But yeah, like I said, I've never really been a Wayne fan, but those two Carter albums, Carter 1 and 2, I think are very good.
I mean, respectfully, I probably won't check for them on your cosign anyway, but like,
No, I hear you, man, and that's the thing. If you're not a fan, one thing I have learned though, there's a lot of, well, I won't say a lot, but I've discovered quite a few songs or albums that I like from artists that I'm not a fan of. Like, and and I wouldn't even say, do I listen to Carter 2? Yes, you know what I mean. But would I describe myself as a Wayne fan? No. So I don't know if it's a production or what, but I don't know. I just think I like it. But then everyone was gassing up. My two brethren that was saying, "Oh no, Wayne, check out Wayne." I went to Carter 3 at the time, so I think it had. I'd heard bits of it, but because I'm not a fan, I hadn't tapped in deeply. But yeah, a lot of skippable stuff. But I can let 1 and 2 run really. But yeah. I hear that. To be honest with you, like we said, there's not much option. So I had Bow Wow, Romeo 2. I don't even think I put a third, which is funny. But and you know what it is? It's one of those ones where you're not even really thinking about it. Like, I dislike them. They just went over my head most of the time. I didn't really take them seriously or even
if
consider
I was 11,
would
I have liked Little Bow Wow? Maybe, but yeah. I mean, I mean, I guess the kids that were listening to Little Bow Wow in, like, when did he drop? Was it like late 90s or early 2000s? I can't remember.
I think it was early 2000s, you know.
And then
so
those kids will be like 30 odd now. But I don't think they'd be 30 listening to Little Bow Wow. Like, we'd have been 30 listening to like KRS-One, Gangsta, or do you know what I mean? So
yeah. Definitely, man. Exactly that. All right, so let's look at some underrated ones then. Like we said, a couple of ones that are got our attention, some that ain't really, some favorites. But let's look at some underrated ones because some of them slip through the net. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you just think, oh, they're just child rappers and you don't actually take them seriously, man. Let me kick this one off, bro. And I'm gonna do it because I've said it so many times. Kleptomaniac from Junior Mafia. I don't hear no one mention Klep. Once again, I think Junior Mafia is just just bottled in with, Biggs, Little People, and the album weren't great. We'll talk about that as well, but the album weren't, amazing.
It's all
And if we're
right.
really honest, yeah, and exactly, and I've got it down as one decent one, but take Kim away, take Kim out of it. Cease was never great, but Cease is the one that Big was obviously closest to, so he was always hearing and seeing Cease. But apart from Kim, Klep's the one, man. And you listen to that album again, you listen to Oh My Lord, when he's going side by side with Big. And he wrote his own stuff as well. Like a lot of the Junior Mafia didn't write the lyrics.
Step in the realms of Junior Mafia, that one as well.
That
one's
hard. Yeah, Jamal killed that. Actually, speaking about Jamal, but yeah, so Klep wrote his stuff. You know what I'm saying? He wrote his lyrics. He went side by side with Big on Oh My Lord, and he weren't made to look silly. There's a few tracks. The last few tracks of the albums. He what's the other one? I think it's Murder Ones. There's another one, the one on his Lyrical Wizardry. I used to kill that track, man. So yeah, I would have liked to heard more from Klep. I was actually looking forward to. I thought he'd be dropping a solo. I thought he was going to try and do a routine. Do you know what I mean? Kim dropped, Cease done something. I was hoping that maybe.
Why do you not have an album out? Do we know? Or
I don't even know, man. And it's not one of those ones I've even really looked into or researched at the time. I don't know. I mean, it was all about Kim and Cease at the time, innit? But I always thought Klep was the coldest one. Do you know what I mean? From when I was playing that album in '95, I thought, nah, this Klep cat's cold. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, he was good.
I was hoping to hear more. Yeah, man, but never came of it. But he's definitely one I'd say is an underrated child. And I think he was about 14, 15 at the time of Conspiracy. So yeah. So not a child like that, but still young. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, still younger than most people that are getting
exactly. Who would you have down as an underrated?
The Youngsters.
Thank you. I've got that on my list as
the
well.
Youngsters?
Yeah, man. I've got it on my list.
Yeah,
definitely, man.
Love the Youngsters, man. I think they're mad underrated. For if you don't know them, they're a Philly group, two brothers and a cousin. So their first album came out when I think they was about 15, but their second album, The Aftermath, was the one that really blew up. I mean, listen, man, they had like unbelievable producers on there, like Pete Rock, Primo, like Marley Marl, Lord Finesse, Diamond D. Like, what, man? Doing tunes with Tretch as well. Like, they were good, man. They like their Aftermath was a bit more aggy, like a bit more, a bit more street, a bit more aggressive. It's sort of, it was kind of like the Naughty by Natures and the, kind of like, Illegal and stuff like that. It was proper East Coast hip hop. It was really good. And I don't know the whys and wherefores of them like breaking up. They just kind of stopped making music after like 3 or 4 albums, I think. But like, they should have kept going. They were super good. Good group.
Yeah, that's a good shout, man. The Youngsters, I had them on my list as well, man. I think my missus was talking about one song the other day. I'll Make You Famous. That was off the album, not off the first two. The first two were probably the better albums. But that, and then I was like, the Youngsters. I completely forgot about them, man. So I used to love that hip hop ride. Remember? Come on, let me take you on the hip hop ride. Yeah. It was just fun, isn't it? But yeah, that's a good shout. I had them down on the list, definitely, man. Youngsters. It's disappeared, man. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, they were decent. It was decent, man. All right, so I had
man, to be honest.
Say that again.
I'd like to know what happened to them, where they ended up. Like,
we'll do a bit of research after this now that they're on the mind. But true, because they definitely. I mean, I know that last album they dropped weren't as good as the ones prior, but they could have kept going. It's probably some internal drama, man, or something like that. I mean, we spoke about Jamal quite a bit, so I'll say Mr. Malik on the underrated. I had a legal down, but I will say Mr. Malik. And the reason I specifically say Mr. Malik is because Jamal actually went on to do something. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Jamal Junior Mafia quite a bit. He was on Realms of Junior Mafia. He obviously ran with Def Squad. He dropped his album, do you know what I'm saying? Last Chance, No Breaks, which I personally think was a good album. Do you know what I'm saying?
Great album. Yeah, I really like it.
Yeah. So yeah, he done his thing, man. He held it down. You had seen him a few times. He had guest verse here and there, but Mr. Malik, he kind of didn't do much. But the little that he did do, I liked. Trying to remember what he done. Mr. Malik, you obviously, come on, he was on Snoop's album. He killed that. He was on Snoop's.
Yeah. It's on Pump Pump.
Yes, Pump Pump. That's the one. Yeah, he was on that one. I was going to say Serial Killer. Yeah, Pump Pump. He killed that. He was on. When he on? Not Psycho. He was on that one. He was on Warren G's album. The track title was Gone For Me, but he was on the Regulate album. He was also he done that verse for Monica as well, which was a good verse. Yeah. He had done a few things, but whenever I heard him, he was decent. Do you know what I'm saying? And I thought he killed that Snoop feature. And it's weird because I'm sure he's actually related. Once again, I'm throwing out all these relations, man. But I'm sure he's related to Snoop, bro. I may be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure he was related
like
to Snoop.
30 million cousins. Every time I turn
You know
on
what I'm saying?
TV,
Exactly.
see someone black from California, they're like one of Snoop's cousins.
Trust me, man. It's a million nephews, isn't it, Uncle Snoop? But yeah, he might be. I'm sure he was. He might be. But even that, I'm thinking, okay, his connections. You know, he was on the Warren G album, on the Snoop album, and to have your name on Dougie Styles' album. That was an incredible.
It's kind of weird, isn't it? Like how they sort of parted ways as a group, and Jamal kind of stayed with the East Coast, and what a group he was in, like with the rest of Def Squad and stuff. And then
Def Squad, yeah.
Mr. Malik goes over to the West Coast, which is completely different, and then links up with.
That's what I'm saying. I think he's from the West Coast. I think he's related to Snoop. That's what I'm saying. I think that's why he kind of probably went back to that. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because I don't know how
it's raising a bunch of questions that I'm going to need to explore after we're done.
Exactly. I may be wrong. I may be completely wrong, but when I think of him as a West Coast because probably because of his appearance on Warren G and Snoop's album, and then like you said, Jamal ran with Def Squad and East Coast and all that. So
that's two of the biggest West Coast albums as well, man. Around.
Well, there you go. Yeah, there you go. That's what I mean. Yeah. So I'm surprised he never done. Maybe he has got an album. I'm just not even aware of it. But I'm surprised we never heard any solo work from him. But I thought he was decent. Yeah. So you ran out. Did you have any more for underrated?
Yeah. Well, just the one. Well, I mean, one and maybe an honourable mention. But I guess Foxy Brown. People forget that. Came out the gate, man. 16 years old on I Shot Your remix. Come on, with those guys.
I guess if we're going to talk about LL Cool J and Kleptomaniac and that, then I guess it would be fair. But yeah, true. Yeah, true. If she was that young, was she 16 though?
16.
How old did she now? She's 16. What, man? She came across like a big woman, man.
I think she was only about. I think it's because about the same time she did Ain't No with Jay.
Yeah.
Same age.
Because I know she was young on the J verse. I know she was young with that. Yeah, you know what? Yeah.
So
if we're talking, yeah, same year, isn't it? I think. Well, I Shot You was 95, isn't it? Jay was 96.
Yeah.
So,
you're right. Yeah. So
but still.
Listen, that's the first I'd ever heard of her, and you're on a track with Keith Murray and Fat Joe and LL Cool J and Prodigy, and you don't
and killing it as well.
Like you're struggling in any way, shape, or form on there.
Bro, she weren't even. I remember it like it was yesterday because me and my sister loved I Shot Ya, and we didn't know who she was. We didn't even know who Foxy was at that time because obviously Jay's verse was after. We did not know who he was, and I remember because she went. Maybe it's not like that now for anyone that's going to go and check, but I know for sure when I had the single, it didn't even credit her name. She wasn't even credited as a guest artist. So me and my sister was trying to figure out who this person is, and she she might have said Jewels once or twice. So me and my sister was like, that must be her name, man. So we were thinking that her name was Jewels or something, do you know what I mean? But yeah, and then shortly after that, we realized we found out obviously more information on who she was. But yeah, that's the impact that she had. When I Shot Your remix dropped, he was like, right, who's this? She actually killed it. But yeah, I don't know what it was. Maybe she weren't signed to a label as yet, or I don't know if the permission weren't there, because we know that used to happen all the time, innit? You're cool with people, but you've got no permission to actually have them on your, like Mary J on Reasonable Doubt. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just put the money in their hand and let them feature. It's not through a label or anything like that. So yeah, we didn't know who she was, but yeah, she came out the gate hard, man. So yeah, that's a good shout actually. All right, man. So to wrap things up now, we've looked at some of the artists. Let's look at some of our favorite albums from child artists.
Yeah.
Should I kick us off? I know we touched on some of them.
I'll go with one that hasn't been mentioned yet. So one of my favorite albums by child artists is 93 to Infinity by Souls of Mischief.
Okay. Yeah.
So, you know, I don't know anyone that hasn't heard 93 to Infinity. It's still one of probably the top 3 hip hop tunes of maybe all time. Like for me anyway.
No, I agree.
That first album, 93, when that came out, obviously those guys were only sort of like 15, 16, 17 and had like already really bigger than they were West Coast artists producing. So Domino, Del the Funky Homo Sapien was producing stuff on the album as well. And it just fit real well in, I guess, in that kind of sort of mid-90s West Coast kind of backpacky, you know, with Del and hieroglyphics and all of that sort of stuff. Then I think the album's great, man. Like it's still banging to this day. And I don't know if you haven't heard it, you should hear it because it's brilliant.
Oh, definitely, man. No, it's a classic. There's no doubt about that. Yeah, I own the physical as well. It's a classic, man. It's a brilliant album. I don't really rate much else, if I'm honest, from the catalogue. Do you know what I'm saying? But that
album is good. Yeah, like I mean, to be fair, I haven't gone that deep in their catalogue, but
they've got a few more, good 2 or 3 more.
But all of the vibes around that time, it just fit like Far Side. It fits in perfectly with all of that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, it's a classic album. I remember my daughter, man, a couple of years ago, she was like, she's like, you know what song I really love? And she sent me the video to that song. I was like, yeah, man. And it's just think, look at that, 93 to Infinity. It was like 2000 and maybe it's a couple of years ago, so 2003, 2004. And my daughter's there bopping to the song. It just shows you, man, it's a timeless song. It's a perfect hip-hop song.
My daughter did it as well because she was playing something on TikTok the other day with that, and I'm like, why are you listening to Souls of Mischief? She's like, it's on TikTok. I love this tune. I'm like,
yeah, it's timeless, man. It's timeless. There's no doubt about it. It's a classic single, man. Timeless.
Yeah, brilliant.
Love it.
What you got?
Okay, so I'm gonna go with. I mentioned A+ before, but I'm gonna go with his 2 albums basically. The Latchkey Child and Hampstead High, I think they're called. I just think they're hard albums, bro. Like, once again, I never really looked at like child rappers like that and thought, oh yeah, I can't actually remember actually going taking my money and buying. Actually, no, I might have bought Crisscross because obviously at the time, do you know what I'm saying? Or got it bought for me, I should say. I weren't buying music at 10, but do you know what I'm saying? But I don't think I heard A+'s album for years after. It was he dropped that track with the
was
Beethoven.
It Beethoven, yeah. Enjoy yourself. Is it Enjoy Yourself?
That's it. Sorry, man, something's in my throat. Yeah, he dropped that one, and that track was hard. It was like, you know what I mean? It was always coming on. I think that was around 97.
Like a Hype Williams video with that. I'm sure there was.
Yeah. So that's when I went and thought, this is actually decent. Then obviously he was on the Lost Boys. He was
Yeah.
on something else as well. I can't remember what it was. He was on something else as well. But then I kind of tapped into his music and I thought, right, these are actually good albums. They're not gimmicky, they're not childishy like that. He can rap, man. And he was probably only 14, I think, when Latchkey Child dropped. So what were they? They were like, I think it was like 90, probably like 94, 95, something like that.
Yeah, I think Enjoy Yourself was like 98, something like that when that came out. Sure, it was.
You know what? Yeah. Oh yeah, you're right. So that was actually after. That was actually after Lost Boys, then, isn't it? That was after Yeah, but I think he was on a couple tracks on the Lost Boys album, but still, I didn't really tap in. But then I thought, let me check this out. And I remember thinking these are two good albums, actually, man. I can't remember if he's done more since, but definitely underrated albums. So if you haven't heard them, it's worth going back and checking them out, man. So Latchkey Child and Hampstead High, decent albums.
I might have a look at it. I'm pretty sure I've heard Hampstead High, but I don't think I've heard Latchkey Child. So yeah, I'll check
Hampstead
them out.
High is the one that you might have heard because that's the one with Enjoy Yourself on it.
Yeah. Well,
but Latchkey Child is better though. Latchkey Child is better. In my
first one.
Yeah. The first one, yeah.
I'll have a look. So my favorite album, first one is the Aftermath. We kind of mentioned it already by the Youngsters.
Yeah.
Love this album, man. It's just pure East Coast hip hop for me, and it came out 93, something like that, and then it's just like the golden age, 93, 94, 95, 96. As I've been that 4-year period, it's just some of the best hip hop we've ever had and ever will have. Like a litany of who's who of producers. Like I know I mentioned Pete Rock and Primo and Marley Marl, but Beat Nuts were on there as well. So I mean, it was just indicative of that time. And I think, like you said, if you were getting a lot of play around that time, then it must have been decent because we were sport for choice. And I think there was something, I guess for me, I was 93, I was 14. So these kids were around about my age. And, and it's just like it resonated with me. Like you're watching Boys in the Hood, you're watching Men's Society, you're watching New Jersey Drive, especially New Jersey Drive. And you're just like, man. Yeah. Yeah, definitely, man. But you're talking about Aftermath, innit? So, No Mercy. What did you think of No Mercy, the other one? Was that the first one?
I think that was the first one, yeah. I mean, Aftermath was better, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if I've heard the first one, actually. Like, I'm sure I got onto them because, like, I remember New Jersey Drive soundtrack had like 2 discs, and I'm sure there was like a track from them on one of them 2 discs, and that's how I got turned on to them. And like obviously they did that song with Tretch, so I didn't. Back then we didn't have the funds to like go back and get all of their back catalogue.
Nah, exactly. Yeah, and we relied heavily on well, for me anyway, I relied heavily on like what came on the telly. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Cable or Sky or whatever we had at the time, like a lot of the hip hop videos. So it was the singles. It was the singles that would really make you go and buy it out
that week and go, see if I can find their album.
Yeah. Singles were important because now we just get access to whole albums like that. Before, if you weren't really feeling a single, you might not even go and buy the album. Do you know what I mean? Exactly. So, it was important. But so I know for sure. I didn't really hear much singles from the first album. I think the second album was the one that had Hip Hop Ride on it. So that's when I knew of them from Hip Hop Ride. Then obviously I think I'll Make You Famous was the third album, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, man, no, that's a good shout out. Yeah, good album. I'm going to mention these two quickly because we've already spoke about them a bit already. But Last Chance, No Breaks, I think was a decent album. Yeah, I think they had some.
You can mention that on there as many times as you like, bro.
Yeah, it don't really get mentioned much, man. It's I think it's a strong album. Jamal's decent, man. Keep It Real, as we spoke about the singles, but even that the one he done with the Biggie sample, man, I've gone blank. What's it called, man? And the Pete had the Pete Rock remix as well.
Yeah, I can't remember. It's been so long.
Wow, how have I gone so blank, man? Jamal. On and off like a light switch. Listen, it's gone. But I know everyone watching is like, what? How can you not remember? But those two singles that dropped, the Jamal singles, they were both hard, man. So the album was, I don't think it was a disappointment. Sure, I remember that. Had a couple, I think a good posse cut on it, some good production. So yeah, man, I thought it was a decent album. I spun it again probably a couple months ago after not for a few years, and I think it's still decent, still listenable. So that was decent. And then I was gonna say Conspiracy as well, Junior Mafia. For me, I say this all the time, man. I've never been one of them guys, even when Backpack was running it and it was all about underground hip hop. I've never ever had a problem liking commercial hip hop. I don't care if it's commercial or underground. If it's good, it's good. I don't care. And we say what we want to say. Biggie was a commercial rapper. So obviously he was talking about Junior Mafia all the time. So we just wanted to hear from them.
Fades them
what
all.
I'm saying.
Fades them all.
Fades them all. That's it. Fades them all. Fades them all. Yeah, them two. Fades them all. And what's it called? Keep It Real. Big singles, man. I think Fades them all might have even been first, didn't it? I can't remember. But anyway,
it was the first single.
Yeah, and then I'll Keep It Real. But yeah, so the Junior Mafia, when Thing dropped, Players Anthem. Once again, I think Realms of Junior Mafia may even have dropped before Players Anthem. Once again, 30 years ago, I'm going off of memory, I might be wrong, but I'm sure Realms dropped first. And I remember hearing that, thinking, right, I didn't know who these dudes were, apart from like obviously Big and that. But then, yeah, Need You Tonight and all that, whatever, they're cool. But I actually really liked Players Anthem. I just think everyone was just so smooth on that. Big Kim C's, the beat, I liked it. I remember the video used to keep coming on. These were the times when it was the box. So people would call up and ask. And I remember it felt like every other video, it was Players Anthem coming on there. What do you think about it? Do you know what I mean? What do you think about it? If you're looking at the singles, I was never a big fan of I Need You Tonight, but if you're looking at Players Anthem, you're looking at Get Money, you're looking at Realms of Junior Mafia, the singles were big. Do you know what I mean? And then, like I said before, that earlier, the album's all right, man. You got like Murder Ones on it, Lyrical Wizardry. You got some all right tracks in there. Do you know what I'm saying? Backstabbers. I think it was a decent album, man. And it gets a lot of stick, but I think it was an all right album, definitely.
I think it only gets a lot of stick because I think people were buying that expecting there was going to be more Biggie on it, and I get it. Yeah. But also, like for him, it was things like I want to showcase my guys. This isn't about me.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm the same as you, man. I think that's an all right album. I don't mind it at all.
Yeah, I mean, Big was on like 4 or 5 of the tracks, man. Do you know what I'm saying? And it weren't a long album. So that's a pretty decent amount to have him on. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'll say one more album and then you can wrap up with your one.
Okay.
I'm actually going to say Criss Cross. Obviously, Jump was huge. Believe it or not, probably because of my age and I didn't really spend my own money on music at that time, but I don't even really think I had that whole album. It's just Jump I remember really.
I had that whole album.
I don't even remember. I mean, maybe I did, because I know for me around that time it was like MC Hammer was my tape, man. That was the cassette for me. I know a lot of people diss him and say what they want, and I know there was a lot of hardcore hip hop that was out before that and around that time, but you got to think about the age. I was 10 years
like 11,
old.
bro. Like 10, 11.
Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like, man, and I know all them albums from 88 that my older siblings, especially my sister, was killing. I knew them inside and out because she was always playing them and stuff. That's cool. But for me, MC Hammer and things like that Hammer tape, bro, I burnt through that. I remember the whole sellotape performing surgery to put the tape and all that. Yeah, people diss him now, but it's like people they rewrite history, man. But yeah, so I forgot what I was saying. The album, so Criss Cross. But I actually got the Young, Rich and Dangerous album.
Oh, that was going to be my last one as well, bro.
Yeah, I got the Young, Rich and Dangerous album. Bro, there's some heat on that. I ain't even gonna lie. There's some heat on that. The production on that. Brat's on that. I ain't got no issues with it, man. It's not something I say I regularly play or put in. I've listened to it in its entirety.
Remix of Tonight with Redman. That's on that
Yeah,
album.
man. Yeah.
Great song.
That's incredible, man. The original's dope. The title track. There's some decent music on it, man. But I think by that time, no one was checking for them like that. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like the novelty had worn off. These were these child rappers with their clothes back to front. Sorry, I know they dropped the second album, which I completely forgot about. Slack reminded me on one of the episodes. Was it a bomb or something? I don't think I even
the Ill Bomb
played
or
or
something
listened.
like that.
The ill bomb, bro.
Yeah.
That don't even register for me. I don't think I even heard that. So I feel like by that time the novelty had worn off. So by Young, Rich and Dangerous, they was obviously older now and trying to come with a bit harder music. I don't know, which is cool, but it just felt all kind of people ain't really checking for them like that anymore. But I thought the album was deep. Man.
I think
You know
it's
what I mean?
because I don't think the people that would have bought them when they were like the same age, I don't like by the time you're like 16, 17, 18, you've moved on to like adult stuff. So you're not
right.
gonna
That's my point. Yeah,
and it was a more adult album from them, and I quite like it as
was.
well. But
It was. Yeah.
it just people ain't checking for it because they're just like, well, they think it's going to still be the same kind of vibes.
Yeah, yeah. So you made a good point there. When you're listening to that as a younger person, and then you're now becoming an adult, and that's what I say all the time. Your age when certain albums dropped is so important because I made another album maybe better. It's like the whole Nas debate. You know, I was like 13 or something when the Illmatic dropped, but I was 16 when it was written dropped. My understanding of music is going to be different. Do you know what I'm saying? But you made a good point when you say you listened to it as a child, and then now you're an adult. It's kind of like I'm trying to think of an example. It's kind of like you having a favorite toy as a kid, and then now you're older. They're still trying to get you to play with that toy. You're like, I'm done with that toy now. That's how you kind of felt with the baby music that you checked for when you were younger.
I'm moving from Transformers onto your Nintendo.
This is what I mean. So it's like you're not really checking, and that's why I said earlier, I can't think of any child rappers that's made a good transition because you're always going to seem like a child to people. Do you know what I mean? Even though you're not now, people still going to affiliate you with being a child rapper. Like I said, R&B is different. You know what I mean? You make that change easily. But in hip hop, so it'd have been interesting to see. I think Jamal done it well, but he weren't really young. But Jamal done it well because I didn't really look at him as a child rapper, to be honest with you.
No, the youngsters, obviously.
Youngsters never came through, but I think they could have done all right. It was all right. Do you know what I mean? Junior Mafia, they did drop one album after, but like ages after.
Wasn't
and
good
Kim
either.
was just in a different league in it, so she was obviously able to go on and do her solo stuff after. And it's different with her because she had the whole sex appeal stuff and Biggie as a guy and all. It's just a whole different ball game. But Clap could have done it. I don't know what happened with him, but he could have done it, man. So yeah, that's quite an interesting thing. You don't really see the transition much, so there must be a reason.
Disappeared after Big died, though, didn't they? So,
I mean, Bow Wow did it though, didn't he? Yeah. I mean, I never listened to Bow Wow, but he made music as an adult, though. He made music as an adult.
Yeah, I can't imagine what that was like because it's like if you can't come with what we would quote unquote say as adult raps, like when you've been rapping like that at like 10, no one's going to be convinced that you've done any of this shit that you're talking about now.
Yeah, this is the thing. But yeah, man. Child rappers, have you got anything else you wanted to shout out before we wrap up?
That was because the same last album as you. So yeah, done me.
All right, man. Okay, so yeah, man, there you go. Another episode. Children in the hip hop. Let us know what your thoughts are. Yeah, man. Just maybe you've got any idea as to why you think child rappers never made the transition that well. Be interesting. But yeah, man. Say again.
Or any that we've missed.
Exactly that. So yeah, man. Shout out, whatever. So yeah, as always. Appreciate you rocking with us for another week. My Type of Hype, the podcast that celebrates hip hop and not just the hype, will be with you again. So yeah, man, that's us. So Potter, you want to sign us out, bro?
keep tuning in. Appreciate you joining us again this week. So yeah, just let us know your thoughts.
Yeah, man, definitely. All right, man. Nothing but love. Peace, man.
Bro.
Until the next one.
Take care. See you later.
Peace.